was just announced that YouTube Red is developing a TV series sequel to the classic 1984 film The Karate Kid, which will be called Cobra Kai. Ralph Macchio and William Zabka will be reprising their roles as Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence. So today, I'm going to talk about my initial thoughts on the show. First off, anybody who's seen my YouTube video A Different Way of Looking at The Karate Kid knows that this really is one of my favorite movies ever. I am not just talking about this because now it's all over the news and now it's hip. Anyway, regarding the idea of this upcoming show called Cobra Kai, I really like the basic idea of seeing Daniel LaRusso 30 plus years later. For me, seeing how the story continues is a lot more exciting than seeing a remake with Jackie Chan and Will Smith's son. That said, the little bits and pieces I've heard about this show do not make me think the producers have the right idea. The basic idea is that years later, Johnny restarts the Cobra Kai now as a sensei, and the rivalry between him and Daniel somehow gets resurrected. First off, I hope these writers are not forgetting that at the end of the first Karate Kid movie, Johnny was a good loser. He handed Daniel the trophy, accepted the fact that he lost, and was going to show a new and respectful attitude towards Daniel. Then when part 2 begins, we see Sensei Kreese attacking Johnny for not winning the tournament in front of the other Cobra Kai students. And finally in part 3, we see that Kreese's dojo is going out of business because he lost all his students. So think about that. Johnny clearly did not leave Cobra Kai on good terms. So if he ever was to open his own karate dojo, then why would it be called Cobra Kai? That seems to me like the writers might be making the show more out of desperation than having a real story to tell. How much attention did they pay to what actually happened in the movies? And despite the fact that the Karate Kid movie had some action and comedy in it, I ultimately think of it as a drama movie. It was a story about growth for self-respect. So I wonder what type of tone the producers are planning for a weekly TV show here. If it's going to have a different karate fight every week, then I don't think that'll really recapture what the first movie was about. It would be difficult for any different writer to really recapture what the first movie was about. Note that the first 3 movies were all written by the same guy, Robert Mark Kamen. And even if the second and third movie were not as good as the first, everyone can agree that it clearly captured the same tone. But then in 1994, there was a spin-off called The Next Karate Kid, which a different writer named Mark Lee wrote, and the same tone was not captured at all. It went for a much more comedic tone, and most fans strongly disliked it. So if the writers of this show don't capture the tone of the first 3 movies, then I don't think fans will like this either. Now I have to mention that Pat Morita's character Mr. Miyagi was a huge part of the movies, and sadly the actor is now deceased. So not having him in the new show will be a major loss, but it needs to be. Recasting him with a different actor would have been wrong. However, I think Elizabeth Shue's character, Allie Mills, was a really important part of the first movie. She was almost like the third corner in the triangle of the rivalry between Daniel and Johnny. So I think if you're going to make a new show about Daniel and Johnny's rivalry coming back, then you really need to have the character of Allie included in some way. And when I read about this upcoming show, I don't hear Elizabeth Shue's name being mentioned anywhere. I can tell you Elizabeth Shue is alive and well, still acting, and she's a very talented actress. So I think the producers are making a huge mistake not to include her. But despite the fact that I have my questions about the premise of the show, of course I'll want to watch it as soon as it airs. Also, as a true Karate Kid fan, I certainly hope to enjoy the show. I hope I'll be proven how wrong I am at this moment. But these are my initial thoughts as soon as I've heard the first announcements about the show, so I'm just putting my thoughts on record. As soon as I've seen the actual show, I'll make another video letting you know what I then think. So if you'd like to see that video, or if you'd like to see any of my other videos, then please hit subscribe. Thank you.